Oh man, just had one of those moments where you're like, maybe I should tweak a thing right before the live stream. And as always, that's a mistake. So I have the air conditioning on because I was chatting with you guys for the last hour and didn't realize the air conditioning was off because I had a Zoom meeting beforehand. So it got really hot in here. I was like, all right, I got 3 minutes before I go live. Let me kick on that air conditioner. And then I was like, oh no, it's too loud. Let me turn it. So I turn it. Then the hose falls off and it's a train wreck. Meanwhile, I already hit the go live button. It was supposed to be just tweak and jump back. But we know how that goes. Not quick like a cat. So today, we're just doing the general Q&A. And let me pull up the chat here. There we are. All right. So, what's first? If you haven't watched Sunday's video yet, you might want to. We now start doing giveaways every Sunday video release. So, all you have to do, like, subscribe, and leave a comment on that video. You'll be entered in. We ship worldwide, picking 5 winners every Sunday. So, that's a pretty easy one. If you're on the fence on whether I want to sign up for a Google account or hit that button, well, maybe that'll sway you. But that's going on. What else we got going on? I turned up the audio a little bit, so you're probably hearing more of the AC, which I'll turn off in a little bit once it cools down. And hopefully it'll be louder, because it's when I listen to playback in my car, it's not quite loud enough. So if you're one of those people going, hey, I need more sound, hopefully this will help you. Is Aquarium Co-op hiring? At this exact moment, I don't think so. But we do hire quite a few people, and so you can watch like Indeed and mostly Indeed is where we post jobs, and then you can send in resumes. But I always warn people, we go through usually a few hundred candidates for each position. So please don't be offended if you're not chosen, even though you sent in a resume. Like it's at that point where it's like, you know, we can't hire everyone, and a lot of people apply all the time, and we're looking for, you know, who is the actual best fit for this position type of deal. So, how is Corey doing? Am I excited for the new house? I'm pretty excited, I gotta admit. I was telling a little story in the chat earlier on how I was pretty freaked out yesterday. We were there unloading some stuff, and I noticed that there was no water. Like, I went to flush the toilet and like turn the water on. I'm like, what is going on? We had hot water, but not cold water. And for those who don't know, we're on a well, and so I was like, oh my gosh, is the well pump broke or is the well dry? I was like, because it's been a really dry summer here. Like, what are the odds the well is dry, and I'm about to try to set up a fish room with not enough water? Like, this is the worst life decision I've ever made. Oh my gosh. So after about 40 minutes, like I'm tapping on stuff and looking at a well thing going, I don't know anything about this. I'm starting to like Google this little pump. And eventually I was like, wait a second. There's a light switch above, like by the water pump, and there's no lights over here. So I hit that switch, turns the pump right back on. Problem solved. The night before, we were trying to get all the outside lights of the house to be on, and we were flipping the switches. You know, you do that when you move into a house. Like, what's this one do? Nothing. Huh, that's weird. Why would the switch do nothing? So we left it off. Well, that one controlled the water. So crisis averted. I was already like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? No fish room, no water. We're gonna have to ration it. I'm gonna have to start like taking a shower with fish water, change water. It's gonna get out of control. But luckily, so far, we're okay. So, whew. But yeah, that was a stressful 40 minutes. Wasn't fun. I was just like, that's when, you know, like you're just going, what have I done? Swear words are coming out. Like, oh no. You guys have probably been there, some decision. The light in the background, distracting. Oh, that blinking light? Oh, that's when someone becomes a member. So we hope that thing just strobes the entire stream. I actually had to set these lights back up. Some of you may have seen the announcement, but I was actually a participant at VidCon. So that's the giant conference that YouTube puts on every year. This time it was virtual because of COVID, and then they actually had me back to do another session with like about 30 creators, just creators that time. When was that? Last Thursday. So I did 2 of them in about a week or so. And so I was teaching about memberships and just some super chat stuff and my experiences, and it was good because I also got to interact with some people that have much bigger channels, you know. So proportionally, we're doing really well with memberships to our channel size, which is about 500,000, coming up on that. Where there's people with, you know, millions of followers with barely any members, like they haven't done a connection type of thing. So, you know, we try to run real community base here, learn who you guys are, help you guys with stuff, get stuff done, and do more of that. Like I'd rather have a group of, you know, 5,000 people that are really tightly knit together than I've got 5 million people, but no one cares about each other. So, you know, obviously we're trying to like, why don't we have 5 million people that care about each other? Well, that's the dream, right? So, got a bunch of new members though. Looks like we've got Henry Bangert, we've got Stephen Fletcher, Amy Cat, Cody Bunch. He's re-upping. He's a shrimp, so he's a 2-monther. Ray Galak and Death of Legacy. Is that Legacy for Magic the Gathering or just a different Legacy? But welcome to the team. Appreciate it. Someone was asking earlier, what is our membership count? I want to wear the membership count as like a badge of honor because it kind of really shows me how many people are willing to invest in what we do outside of, you know, the business, but like it's a metric of, are we doing the right things? If all of a sudden we watch membership just drop off, go off the side of a cliff, we know like, oh my gosh, we're doing horrible things, right the ship. We also, obviously, we have teams of people watching e-commerce and that kind of stuff as well. So, you know, we want to make sure that's going right. Bob's sending me stuff in the middle of my stream. So normally when a friend messages you, they're probably watching the live stream, and I'm making sure that it's not like, the thing's on fire, sound's cutting out. And so I always check in on it, and Bob's just like, hey, proof my video that I'm putting out. All right, back to the membership count. Membership count. Refresh. 1,598. Ooh, 2 more. We could break that 1,600 mark. Wouldn't mind doing that. We got a super chat from Death of a Legacy. Minimum funds, life experience, and education to open up a fish store. Well, my advice is always the same. And that is, first, go manage someone else's fish store. That's going to take some time. For me, it took 2 years to get to the point where I was managing it. And then I managed it for 3 years. Then I quit and opened my own store. But that's always my first advice. Go manage someone else's fish store so you can learn as much as you can before you're playing with your own money. Some people say, well, I can't afford to do that. I gotta make more money. Like, owning your own store, you'll make less money than working for someone else the first year. In fact, I'm working on this like big project. I've been outlining it. Jimmy doesn't even know about it yet, but I want to kind of do a documentary on Aquarium Co-op, like how it came to be, like all the way from when I was just working at a fish store for store credit and showing that store, like it's no longer there, but we could show the location, how I had to drive 45 minutes each way every day, all the way until where we're at now, where we're a pretty big, you know, we got 25 employees. We're doing pretty good, right? Because people, you know, like I stumbled upon some stuff. You know, one of them was in the year 2014, my tax return for me, on paper and everything, I only made $14,000. So that was the second year we're open. I only took home $14,000. Now, I don't have to tell you, it's pretty hard to live off of about $1,000 a month. Now, luckily my wife was supporting us at the time, but you know, that's in year 2. So, you know, it takes a while to start making a business actually generate enough money to support even just one person. And at that point I had another employee, so I was paying them, and to make the dream come true. And that's what I want to capture in that video is like, you know, at this point, it's pretty much been, out of the 7 years we've been open, like 5 years of a lot of sacrifice. to get to the point. And not just from me, employees, my wife. There's a lot of things that just got sacrificed. The fact that I buy shirts for about $6 that from my person that prints shirts because I don't want to pay more expensive. Like I save and cobble up everything to make sure that tomorrow is a brighter day than today. So, you know, buying the new home and all that kind of stuff is kind of a culmination of that stuff, and want to build it in so people can see a timeline. Because if you are just new to fish keeping and you find us today, you have no idea what Corey of 5 years ago on YouTube was. I mean, and we're doing a video kind of like that where bring some people in and show like, oh my gosh, your fish room was real raw and you were new on camera and all of that. And some of those videos I think are kind of fun to reminisce with. So, but back to the question at hand, life experience and education. Working at a fish store is all you need. You need to work there. You need to run one for at least a year or two. Get that full season cycle. Wins the highs, wins the lows. Who's the vendors use, who's not to use. And then minimum funds. I was able to do it with $50,000 in cash and $50,000 basically in labor on credit with someone. So that's about $100,000 to build a 1,000 square foot store. It costs about $1,000. Oh man, there we go. Whew. I was turning it off with a remote. It costs about $1,000 per square foot. Is that right? 1,000 square feet? Yeah. $1,000, 1,000 square feet. Yeah, that's 100,000. No, that would be. It's a $100 per square foot. Is that right? Whatever the math is, it takes $100,000. I built a 1,000 square foot store, and even that was only like 3/4 built out, ready to go. We still had to earn money and put money in to make the store work, and that was with the minimal overhead. We didn't have loans. We didn't have these things hanging over our head. We were profitable from month one, which is very lucky, but by design. We designed it that way so that we wouldn't run into, oh, I have a $3,000 payment to a loan, but I only made $6,000 this month, right? So we set ourselves up for the best chance of having success. Even we almost went out of business a couple times, and luckily we're pretty far from that now where we're doing okay. So yeah, I would say about $100,000 or someone to build it and $50,000 in cash and no loans over your head, which that's the hardest part. You're going to be like, how do you get that kind of money? You have to get someone to believe in you. You have to have, like I have a silent business partner, owns 25% of the company, and they're the ones that put the money in. Not they, he is the one that put the money in. And so that's how I was able to accomplish it. And it was calculated risks and all of that. And I'm eternally grateful. You know, it's his investment on $50,000 looking great now, but those first few years, not looking so great at all. You know, you can imagine if I only paid myself in the second year $14,000, that guy didn't make anything. So it took him years before he even started seeing any return on his money. So, but he's a good friend of mine, and so it wasn't all about money anyway. All right. In Canada, now there's not many meds available. What would you recommend for quarantine tank? Aquarium salt and Tetra Lifeguard all-in-one? The Tetra Lifeguard all-in-one is pretty invasive. It is a good product, but it can be real hard on loaches and some of the scaleless fish, if you will. Aquarium salt is my number one. In a perfect world, I would treat everything with aquarium salt almost. The Lifeguard all-in-one should get some of the internal parasites for you, but it might not be 100% effective either. So, what am I trying to say here? Really what I'm trying to say, if you live in a country that doesn't have our meds, I'm not very knowledgeable because I'm not in that situation. After a year or so, I'd be well apprised, like, okay, this is how I deal with it. But I don't want to give you just an off-the-cuff, you should do this, and then it works out horribly, right? So that's where I hesitate to go. Salt, I'm very familiar with, works well. I have used the Tetra all-in-one. It's a little potent, a little, ooh, you know, it's kind of like chemotherapy, like we're going to nuke everything, good and bad, and hope for the best. And usually I like stuff more in between that. Like salt's pretty mild, it takes a long time, several weeks. And I like a med that takes, you know, usually 4 or 5 days. All right, so new members rolling in. Looks like we've got John Morgan re-upping. We've got Nutzach 420. That's right, I said it. Zach Clem, Jennifer Drayster, Mariana Gahuli re-upping. Fish 6 Aquatics, with a super chat. And the Fish Barn chiming in, working on the fish room and lurking. Thanks as always. Yeah, his content's coming a long way. Been mentoring, the Fish Barn a little bit. He's coming up. Any update? Wait. Oh, he's doing an update. You're paying me for an update? This is great. Update on my half-beaks pond. I found my first baby shrimp since I got them from Aquahuna in June, plus more baby fish. I live in central New York and it can get minus 15 in the winter. What should I do in the winter? If you can pull it inside to a garage, that's a great first step. If you can't, what I do is I build what's called a horse trough solar heater. So basically it's a big box with a clear top where it lets the sunlight in, heats that water up, and then traps the heat in. That's your first line of defense. After that, you could then put a heater in there and set it to don't let it go below 65. Hopefully it won't turn on a whole lot, but even that heat will get trapped also. So, the latest parts of night, you can hedge off that heat or that chill if you can't move it indoors. Moving it indoors gives you a big leg up, but for sure covering the top is the bare minimum you can do right at the beginning. All right. Super chat from Paulette. Thank you. Christina Watkins becoming a member. Awesome. We're squadding up today. The team's growing strong. Adam T. Brown. Welcome. LRB Aquatics hanging out in the chat. Nice to see you, Lucas. All right. Dean's in the chat. And Jimmy. Everyone is hanging out today. I know you mentioned wonder shells in the past, but when you use them, my TDS skyrockets. Is this a concern? I wouldn't say it's a concern because that's exactly what it's meant to do. So minerals are dissolved solids in the water, and you're measuring how many dissolved solids are in the water. It's like, oh, I get it. We're putting in dissolved solids in. It would only be a concern if you're going really, really high. So if you are putting way too many wonder shells compared to the amount of water changes or what your plants are consuming or your snails and shrimp are consuming, that could be a problem. But in itself, lots of minerals in the water is usually not a bad thing. In fact, that's one of the things I'm looking forward to. Our well water at the new place has hard water, and I'm really looking forward to that. All right. I gotta turn the AC back on. I'm sorry, guys. It's hot. Franchising out in 2021. I mean, I can't say never, but it's pretty close to never would I franchise. It would have to be like an actual employee that we already think has the capability. Then maybe they could carry on our legacy to another state or something like that, or another country. But just selling our name for money, if I'm gonna sell out, which I mean I get it, I'm a sellout, right? Like I'm marketing to you guys on YouTube, right? But if I was gonna sell out in that manner, there's easier ways for me just to make a giant pile of money. So am I willing to help other stores? Yes, we do that. I try to help them and guide them, but for the most part, humans are humans, and they don't ever want to hear the path that they weren't planning on taking. But I wanted to do this thing. Yeah, that's not going to work in my experience. Well, I'm going to do it, and I'll let you know if it works. Okay, see ya, good luck. Benjamin says, I was watching an old video, and you mentioned Grandma's goldfish. What happened to Grandma's goldfish? That's a good question. What did happen to Grandma's goldfish? I think, let me think here. Would have been 2 houses ago when I lived in a duplex. They came home to my house at some point. And then I think they ended up getting sold at the store during pond season because I didn't really have a good spot for them. And my grandma was getting older. Now she doesn't really go outside or anything. And she actually closed down the pond. That's right. Okay, so now I can put it together. I was like, why did we get rid of it? They actually filled in that pond so they could back up a car all the way to the back porch so my grandma can get in to go to doctor's appointments. I was trying to think, because she loved that pond. Why would we have gotten rid of it? And it's because we had to pull a car in to be able to pull that off. So, all right. So yeah, that's the story of that. And at the time, it just didn't make sense for me to keep the goldfish because I already had tanks, but I didn't have a good spot for them, and I knew I'd have to move and open a store and all that. All right, so let me try and catch up here. What are the best fish for a 200-liter aquarium? It's like a 50-gallon tank. It's such a, you know, it's like saying what's the best food. What's the best food if you only have $10? Mexican food? Like, it's so easy. I could be like, guppies. I would do that in a 55-gallon. I've done that a million times. I've also done African cichlids. I've also done tetras. I've also done... You need to find what you like. There's no best fish. It's whatever you're interested in this year, which might be different 5 years down the road. Renee became a member. Thank you very much. Danny Sherman with a $20 super chat with no message. Whoa, coming in hot. If you're not a member already, Danny, next time, please just become a member. You can hang out with us. It'll be good times. Karen Stanger. Oh, I like that last name. Stanger. Becoming a new member. Kaylin. Benjamin. Oh, I already answered that one. I was like, with another super chat about my goldfish? Braden Little with a super chat. Yvonne Deja. Becoming a member. Open a store in Canada, please. I've got the long... I really want... there's an entrepreneur named Brendan Flynn who lives in Canada that he is one of the few people in which I believe could possibly open a franchise or do something in Canada with Aquarium Co-op. He's still young, still in high school, been dedicated. If you guys watched his YouTube videos, been around for a long time. I talk to him every day. I'm hoping to actually do some mentorship for him after he gets out of high school. I'm hoping something could come out of that because I believe we could do some good stuff in Canada. And I believe he's trustworthy. I think he's very smart. I like the way he approaches business. I like the way he runs his business right now, which is Liberty Aquarium Services. And we'll see where it goes. You never know. I want to start a fish store. How can I find the best wholesalers and importers? Is there a go-to magic list? There's no good magic list. So, again, I'm always going to come to the starting point. Did you go manage someone else's fish store? What was the best sources they had? Use those. Then, over time, so every year that you're open, you're going to get 12 new wholesalers that reach out to you. Like every month, a new one. And eventually, one out of those 12 will be like, oh, that's actually pretty good. Prices are good, or service is good, something's good. And over time, you'll get some good sources. Now, a lot of times people ask me, like, can't I just have your sources? Well, first answer is no. The second answer is, even if I did give them to you, my sources aren't necessarily good sources for you. So, because like we buy a lot of our, well, I won't say a lot, maybe like a third of our fish from Aquahuna, right? That doesn't mean that if you're in Oklahoma, that his fish will do really well for you in Oklahoma. They might, but you have to test that. And so I wouldn't want you to be like, well, let me buy your knowledge, Corey, and then I send you there and it doesn't work, right? So you have to test and you have to know, and that's why managing a local fish store, you're going to know who are they using. And you can at least know who not to use, right? But it's an overtime thing. We're up to, when I first, let me back it up. When I managed a fish store, we bought plants from basically Aquahuna, their wholesale side. That's the only place we ever got plants, right? Then when I opened my own store, I was ordering from 2 places. Now we order from 5 different plant farms a week. That took 7 years to build that list out. We just acquired one just a couple months ago. And we're always looking for more, right? And the same thing with fish vendors and stuff like that. Currently, we order from 2 every single week. Sometimes we import as well, so that'd be a third. And we buy from local breeders, right? So you got to develop that over time. And if you're doing your job right, over the years, you'll get more and more selection and better pricing and stuff. Now, where people get lazy, a lot of times the owners check out of the business, and then it's like, well, I'll let, like if I just let Robert run the business, if he wasn't passionate about finding new quality good stock, over time, those good sources we found, they'll go out of business, they'll sell off, they'll do whatever, and nothing will be replacing them. So we constantly have to be in a state of motion to how do we keep getting better. There is no magic list. You keep your ear to the ground. You know, you go, oh yeah, I wonder if their water's gonna be hard or soft. What do they specialize in? What am I trying to specialize in? And you go down the path that way, knowing that, you know, a lot of times we'll order from a place 2 or 3 times, and it's like, it's just not good enough. Can't order from them anymore, right? And even though maybe some of our business colleagues, they love them, they just don't work out for us and the way we do it. So, all right. I've got a Columnaris outbreak in my bloodfin tetra tank, and I'm still losing fish after 5 days of erythromycin. Still showing fuzzy red gills, fin rot. They die within 24 hours. What are my thoughts? Well, my thoughts are, for Columnaris, I actually use Maricin and I use Icex together, because to treat the fungus, you actually need to use Icex, in my opinion. To treat the bacterial infection that's underneath that fungus is erythromycin. If you were to use salt, that'll do both of them. I don't know if you have live plants or not, but that's where I would be attacking it, with Icex and Maricin at the same time, assuming we've diagnosed the illnesses correctly. It sucks though. I've been there. I probably killed more fish than most people in this chat, because we import a lot of fish, or I mean, we get a lot of fish. We have to, you know, I used to touch just thousands and thousands and thousands of fish every week. And so you learn a lot, and you get a little jaded to it, but you're never like excited, like, oh good, I'm pulling more dead bodies, like why isn't my routine working and stuff like that. So you just keep trying to improve is all you can do. What predator to add to a guppy tank to keep the population in check without affecting the shrimp population too much? Ooh, that's a good one. If possible, what can you do? Normally I say African dwarf frogs, but they're going to eat some of those shrimpies. So then I'm thinking, okay, we got to go up top with this fish. We need it to stay up top all the time, but have a big enough mouth to eat some babies. Because shrimp typically don't go up top as much, right? So what would stay at the top, have a big enough mouth, but not just decimate the adult guppies or the shrimp? Oof, that gets hard. That gets real hard. I'm honestly not sure if I can think of one. So hopefully someone in the chat's got a good one. I'll chime in right now and look, but what would be a good... Because you're fitting a real narrow range there. Like I was thinking half beaks, but like a lot of them will get too big. Hatchet fish. Oh, maybe you might be able to do maybe a few danios, maybe a couple zebra danios, like a 4-pack or something. A big betta, it will probably go after the shrimp. The golden wonderkillie possibly, but they get big enough they'll take down the adult guppies. Butterfly fish will take down the adult guppies. That's a decent idea. Get a second tank and move your fry or your extras there. The predator can eat them. Yep. See, most of the suggestions that are coming in, they'll travel all around the tank. They're going to eat the shrimp and the babies. So we need it to only kind of stay at the top of the tank and also not be too big to eat the actual adults. Mollies? Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Any way to support you and buy stuff from the UK? There's no way to currently buy stuff and get it to the UK. You can become a member. That would support us. And just be a positive influence in the hobby. That supports us as well. But there's no way for you to buy really from us yet, unfortunately. Paulette became a member. All right. Jamie Watton, Christopher Fawcett, Garrett. Where to go, Garrett? Don't hide on me. Garrett Wise, Malta Hijacker, Martin Fultz with a question. How long would a newly added object, a sponge filter, how long for a newly added object, sponge filter, to grow a colony of beneficial bacteria when adding it to an established tank? So the studies I've read say bacteria can double every 18 hours or so in an aquarium. I always tell people when people buy it from me, I say give it a solid week. I think it actually takes about 3 days, but I say give it a solid week before you're going to swap out a hang-on back or anything like that. The longer you give it, the better. Like, I don't think there's ever a reason like, well, I had 2 weeks, so I'm going to do it tomorrow. Like, no, just wait. Give us some time. My wife chimed in, yes, technically you could buy some shirts from us on Teespring, but right now I don't even have that link enabled on YouTube, so you'd have to find our Teespring. You can buy some shirts from us there at the moment. All right, Niva80 became a member. Thank you very much. Michael's a happy member. He's got guppies outside in the pond. How cold until you should bring them in? I mean, honestly, I watch the weather, and when I think the water temp's going to get below 70, I start making my plan to bring them in. That's my goal. Is like, okay, let's wrap it up. Now, you're always a little sad when, like right now, we had a cold spell, and now it's going to be hot, like 90 this week, right? And you're always sad, like, dang, I should have left him out. I'm such a dummy. But you also be saying you're such a dummy when the opposite happens, like, oh, it was 90, and then it slammed down to 60, and a bunch of fish died, right? So you'd much rather be safe than sorry on this one, and this is the opposite of seed and sponge filter. Like, all right, bring it in early, you know, get ahead of the storm, so to speak, and they can go under 70, but at what point under 70, like, so let's say you've got your fish out all season. You get them out there, they're above 70, they're at 80, 85, 80, 85, 75, 80, 85, 75, 72, 70, 80, right? And then at a certain point, you're like, okay, they're down to 70. It's pretty much only going 69, 65, 68, like, you're going to be in that zone of, like, that's just a hard zone for them to be in. And I think you're better off going, okay, I think we're down to about 70, and I don't see it really coming back to that 85, that higher end for much of the year. Let's go ahead and get our exit strategy in place. Rachel with a $5 super chat. Happy Labor Day to me and the co-op. Thank you. Can I put some substrate in? Wait, can I put substrate in with the fish in it? If so, what would be the least disruptive? And welcome back, Jimmy. Well, so if it's like normal, just gravel, yes, you can do that. If it's crushed coir, you can rinse it really well and do it. And if it's some of the organic substrates, that gets pretty hard. But the best possible way would be, this will work for now. If you had a container, not like this one, but like, let's say you had a margarine container or a whipped cream, Cool Whip container, Cool Whip, and you load this up with substrate, then you lower this into the water and bring it all the way down to the bottom, then release it. If you just drop it in from the top, all the particles around are going to come off and cloud that water. So that's about the best possible way you can do it. Can you do it? Yes. Should you be a little bit light on food, a couple extra water changes over the next week? Yeah, probably. And just don't do anything with like the organic soil. That's just a mess. So, all right. Elizabeth Lamb becoming a member. Welcome. We've got Chris N with his $1 super chat. Michaela Glass with a $5, no question. Oof. I see you talk a lot about how great baby brine shrimp are, but not much about microworms and the other live cultures. Those seem easier. Any reason? In my opinion, those are harder because they're not always ready to go. You got to redo the medium. Live baby brine in general swim mid-water, which a lot of fish only eat mid-water, and they're active and they will be like hunted by a lot of fish. Microworms, they can fall into gravel. They can actually cause problems in bettas where they start getting sores and stuff, and they're not as nutritionally, I don't want to say dense, whole, I guess. Like if you feed only them, you actually lead to deficiencies in your fish. So they're great to have around in a pinch, but that's why most fish breeders rely on baby brine shrimp. Is just a much better product. Not that those aren't usable, and not that I haven't done them in the past, and not that I won't do them again in the future. But they're not like an on main course. They're like a side dish. They're definitely useful, but they're just not complete enough. Where to now? Join the team. Roxanne H. Wow. Lewis. All right. Carl Harnett. I like it. Got 28 new members. I like it. Dave Saucier. Saucier? I don't know. Any advice for dealing with a betta that bites down his own fins? He's in a 15-gallon Planet Flue Ball Flex and he's got no tank mates. First thing I would do, get him some tank mates. You know, might be like a dog that's bored, bites on your shoes. Get him something to chase, right? So I would try that. Maybe get yourself some neons or maybe some white clouds. Nothing too crazy, but see if that doesn't, you know, a lot of times maybe you could use a laser pointer, interact with them somehow. Get them playing, wear them out, tire them out, and see if that doesn't improve it a little bit. Can aquarium diseases teach us anything about COVID? I don't know, Alex. Maybe. I'm not smart enough to know. I'm sure there's some super nerd out there like, well, actually, you know, but that's beyond my skill set. Unfortunately, I don't know. Flippin' fish. I like the raccoon picture. Nice little evil raccoon. Becoming a member. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for all the new members. And now I've caught up so I can jump into the chat. What could be the reason one of my cherry shrimp died? My pregnant cherry shrimp. Well, it could always be a complication with birth. Could be a lack of calcium. Could just be a bad molt. Could be got attacked from another fish. The honest reason is probably you'll never know. I'll never know. Could also have a heart attack. Anything could happen. Now, if you notice a pattern, patterns are nice because then you can start going, well, what's the common theme here? So, you know, if I was doing my salesman job, I should tell you, well, make sure you buy shrimp foods and wonder shells and do all these things that are great for your aquarium, and that'll fix the problem. And it very well may. But it also means you could be doing everything right, and that shrimp just died just because it died of old age. Could even be that. So, you know, you got to take an honest look and go, well, I mean, do I have a lot of them? And are like most not dying? I'm probably doing okay then. Are all of them dying? Well, that's not good. You know, you got to take a look at that kind of stuff. All right. Your videos are the best. Well, thank you. I've ordered twice now, and I definitely order more. I knew I should have gotten the 60 capsule root tab bag. I blew through the 20 bag already. Yes, that's one of the items actually. So the 60 root tab bag actually came to be because of Canada. Thank you, Canadians. One of the ways it doesn't make any sense for us to sell a product for not very much money in Canada. I know that sounds weird, but like let's say we got to sell this drink. I bought this drink for like $1.68, or my wife did. To sell this in Canada, the fees alone are probably $12. So even if I sold it for the same price, it'd be a $14 drink for some water, right? With some coconut water in it. So, same thing with the root tabs of like, it's a $12 product or whatever we sell it for. Once we tack on like the $14 in fees and we do the conversion rate, now you guys, well not you guys, but Canadians would be like, that's way too expensive. On a 60 pack, now we add the same like $12 in fees, and all of a sudden you go, that's not so bad. So that's what we did. And we're hoping it's going to work out. Ah, that sweet, sweet coconut water. Speaking of new products you guys should buy, have you got your Aquarium Co-Op towels yet? These things are great. Look at that. Dual embroidery. Literally cost me twice as much, but I thought it looked too weird only having embroidery on one side. And I like them. Oh, that smells like quality. Oh, yeah. Definitely worth the price. I mean, I do that with everything. You smell it, that's how you know. You know, sometimes you got to smell like your phone. Yep, that was worth $1,000. Smell test. I've looked through your videos as much as possible, but I haven't been able to find anything on different methods of CO2 diffusion. I guarantee you I've talked about it like 40 times through live streams. My advice is the minimal amount possible. So a CO2 diffuser, does that work? Sure. Putting it into an impeller, into a hang-on back or a canister, does that work? Sure. Does a passive method that was shown in the San Francisco aquarium shop method work? Sure. Does just having an air stone inject CO2 into your water as long as they're using up more than what was already there? Yes, sure. They're really, you know, I think people are often looking for like, what's the best way to do it? Like, there's not, like you're trying to optimize something that's like doesn't need to be optimized. We need so little CO2 in our aquarium. You're like, yeah, but you know, the worst way runs at a 97%, and the best way runs at a 98%. I like to beat the 98. Like, how about we just be happy that any method gets you at 97% saturation of like way too much anyway? And then you're like, well, I only want to replace my CO2 tank once every 26 years instead of every 4 years. Like, all right, I mean, I get it. But that's just a way to say that it's really easy to get CO2 into your tank. I don't put a lot of value in, oh, should I use an atomizer in line with my canister filter? Like, sure, if you want. You can pay the $60, or you can get like the exact same diffusion rate for no money. You know, we do a little bit of it. You know, we built a giant reactor, well, reactors for the warehouse. I'm not sure I could actually say it's that much better diffusion, but, you know, that's a system we're running thousands of gallons of water, and like, they pearled before we did it, and they pearled after we did it. Is it better? I don't think we're replacing CO2 any less, really. So, they look cool, though. They make us look like we know what we're doing. All right. Is our towel microfiber? It is not. It didn't smell like microfiber anyway. I don't even know if it has a real smell like microfiber. I have a pair of angelfish that keep laying eggs. I don't want 100 babies. Can I just take a few eggs and raise them? No local fish store, and thought of calling is unbearable. Sure. Yeah, you can take just a few. Nothing wrong with that. Especially if they lay on a leaf, you can just like cut a piece of the leaf off. All right. O-nips are terrible for fish? I mean, they're old formula. Well, shows you how often I clean my desk. This is the spirulina veggie tab, but their old formula I actually thought was very good and high quality for fish. The new formula just doesn't stick together as well, but I wouldn't say that the ingredients aren't good for them. Like, they actually have bloodworms, krill, gramaris, you know, like flake foods in there. Like, I actually think they're a good product. Outside of, now they kind of suck from the way they're built, but I definitely would not, and I want to be clear about that. Like, I don't sell the product anymore, but I'm telling you, I still think the product is okay. I would never say that it's terrible for fish. Like that, I just don't believe that to be true. But I don't believe that for most fish, outside of like Wardley's crappy fish food. Even that, any fish food is still like, it's decent-ish. What's the best way to acquire a 200-gallon custom tank? Check on Craigslist and Aquabid. Then you got to start looking at manufacturers, maybe customaquariums.com, maybe glasscages.com. There's some acrylic manufacturers. The problem is when you ever say the word custom and aquarium, it starts getting crazy expensive. Shipping's crazy expensive. So all of a sudden, you might pay $800 for shipping. The whole tank might only have been $600 on Craigslist locally. So that's why I'm advising, like, look on Craigslist and OfferUp and that kind of stuff. Look at someone else who's done with that dream, and you get it on the cheap, as opposed to, I can give you a good example. Murphy's tank. I had a 306-gallon tank beforehand that I bought from someone who was moving locally, and it cost me, I think, $800, if I remember right. Is it 800 or 1,000? I had one almost the exact same. It was a little bit taller, so it was like 4 inches taller. Made custom. That aquarium was a little more than $10,000 with the stand and everything. So I got the stand and the aquarium with the other one. So 10 grand, 10 times the price for a little bit taller. You know, it's a better made tank, and it was brand new and all of that. And yes, I broke the other tank when I went to move it, and I fixed it, and it worked fine for many years. But that's the kind of thing I'm talking about, is like having it made brand new. You know, like this tank was insanely expensive. When I have to sell it someday, no one will ever pay me as much as I had to pay for it. Yeah. Randy just told me plants are coming in tonight. I'm going to grab them tonight. And I said, cool, I'm live. All right, where are we at? Why did we stop selling the O-nip tabs online? Because they changed the formula, and in a live stream I showed the comparison, and they're just not good anymore. Like, it was one of our really great selling products, and the ingredients are still great, but they changed. So what they did, I think I only have one of them now on my desk. I've got all these sample products, but they changed to this organic packaging, and now everything is organic. Well, the things that was holding the tabs together, I don't know what it was, but now they just like they kind of make a mess in your tank. And so they had a product where it's like, this can't get any better. It's perfect. It's awesome. It's amazing. And then they turned it into like, what's wrong with this thing? And so a couple things happened. One, they changed the formula. Two, they upped the price, right? And that's usually a double whammy for me of like, you made this worse and made it more expensive. How do I tell my viewers and my fans and my customers, like, yeah, you know this thing you like? It just got more expensive and it's worse. But I'm going to keep standing behind it because I already did the song and dance for 3 years. Instead, I cut my losses, and I be honest with you guys, I go, look, I don't think this now fits in the realm. Like, it was already a high-priced product, and I've always told them that. I go, your product is very expensive. It better be very good. Now, you raise the price more, and you brought the quality down. That no longer fits within my ideals. I can't sit here and say, you guys should keep buying this, even though I don't agree with it. So, that's why we stopped selling it. Simple as that. You know, I've been talking with Extreme right now. I've been trying to get their price down because I go, hey, you guys could take over the entire fish food market. Your fish food is the best. Without a doubt, I have no doubt in my mind that their food is amazing. And I love it, and I feed it so much out there. Like, it's probably 60 to 70% of what I feed right now. I'm also feeding Vibrobites. I feed fry food. I feed frozen foods, live baby brine, and I'm always testing stuff too. But they're getting the lion's share out there. I really do like their food. They are expensive, but we were going back, how can we cut costs? What can we do? And they were able to show me the price they're paying per pound for krill and stuff like that. And the reality is, krill is just really expensive. COVID has made it harder to get jars and things that I run into. And I go, you know what? I respect that. And they go, we could lower the price. It's going to lower the quality. And they don't want to do that. And I don't want them to do that. So I go, you know what? You're right. We'll keep working on it. How can we, you know, massage this over time? But it is the best food. And the reason I was bringing it up is like, how do we get more new fish keepers to realize the value in a food like this? That's what I'm trying to do is people have been around a long time. They get it. Good fish food's worth its weight in gold. But new fish keepers, they're like, why would I pay that? I can get twice as much food for half as much money from Wardley's or something. It's like, well, it's because it's not very good. So I'm always working on that. Not only am I a hobbyist, but I'm seeking out value because usually when I can provide more value, that will make everyone more money. You know, I'll sell more. You guys will save money. The manufacturer will sell more. It's a win-win-win-win. So if we can find a way to increase that benefit ratio for everyone, it's just too good not to try. All right. I want to get some more general chat questions because I'm falling behind and I don't want to ignore them. Best plants for a nano tank like a 9-gallon flue ball flex, carpet, foreground, middle ground, and background. Crypts, and more crypts. I mean, I do love crypts. You could do crypt harbor in the foreground or carpet. The middle, you could do something like crypt pink flamingo or red wendetta. And in the background, you could do crypt spiralis. You could do maybe even like a lutea, crypt retrospiralis. There's quite a few of them. Now, obviously, there's, you know what, we're taking it to the website. Take it to the website. I'm done with this explainings. Let me take it to the website. Let's make sure it works. Click the button. I assume you can hear me and see me. All right. So what I do, you said nano tank or small tanks, right? And we want carpeting and all that. So we could just go here and be like, well, what are some foreground plants? Click the button. There we go. Oh, no. I restricted it too many times. And we could go carpeting. and foreground. All right, so here we go. We've got Stargainer Repens, we've got Monte Carlo, Dwarf Chainsaw, Dwarf Baby Tears, Hydrocaudal Triparda, Species Japan, and Microsword, right? And let's say you wanted to, well, no, not foreground, so I want to go midground, right? But you're like, well, I only want to do low light plants because I don't have very much light in that Fluval Flex. You have like medium, but let's say you didn't. You go, I want to go low light. All right, well, here you go. Here's things you can put in the midground. Like, the banana plant, small at the beginning, but it'll grow lilies all the way to the top. You can put all this stuff. All the newbies can go on wood. You can set that at any level. And you can basically run your way through the website and figure that out. So you can choose by plant type. You can choose by placement. You can choose by light. What's our highlight plants, right? So you can do that, and you can get yourself through there. At least with our website, you can do that. And then even if you, let's say you're in a different country, you can't buy from us, you can still go, I could buy this plant somewhere else, and you could use it to your advantage. While I've got you here, I want to show you guys some new features. Someone in the chat earlier with some Ireland, they've probably gone to bed by now because it was late for them, but they were asking another person from Ireland if there was a local club. And I thought to myself, I wonder if there is a local club. And then I thought, we haven't shown people really that we built a crazy good local fish club map. So now it's fully interactive. You can click on them. You can make it do things. You can go, hey, I live in Texas. And then it goes, oh, you're right here. And then you can zoom in. Come on, zoom in. So you can go, oh, there's one down in San Antonio. But this person was in Ireland, so I wanted to know. Is Ireland? Uh-oh, just got to spell it right. I wanted to know, are there any in Ireland? And you know what? There is. I'm going to scroll in, or zoom in. Oh no, there's not. I lied. When it was zoomed out, I thought there was. I thought the ones in England were. So, you got to start a club in Ireland, unfortunately. But you can scroll. You can see there's lots in kind of Norway and Sweden. I know there's some in Germany because they were having some, but no one submitted them yet. But it is a worldwide map, so no matter where you are in the world, a couple here in Australia. No matter where you are in the world, you could submit to us by clicking the button here, and you give us your information, and we'll make sure it's legit, and then we'll get it put on the map. So whether you're in the United States or somewhere else in the world, it helps other hobbyists. So if you have a wicked good club local to you, by all means, submit it so we can update our map. And we do this, we make sure the links work, and we actually put the addresses on there, and yeah, we just try to be as helpful as we can at Aquarium Co-op. We don't make any money off this. It's purely to connect people with like minds together. What else do we have that's brand new? Brand new to the website. We also have this Learn More About Us. You can learn about us. And then if you scroll down, we have a Meet the Aquarium Co-op team where you can read profiles about us. Like maybe you want to know, well, who is Lizzie? You can learn all about Lizzie and her aquariums and what she does here at Aquarium Co-op for us, and tips that she has for new hobbyists and things like that. And you can learn from a lot of our people. So that's new as well. We have a new page for the podcast. Nothing too crazy there. We actually have a newer page coming. And then we also have we have a new FAQ section. You can find this at the bottom. We're working on this right now. We're going to build out a very robust FAQ. If you click here, you can put in, well, one, you can just look at what some of the FAQs we get all the time are. But then you can put your question up here as like, local aquarium club. And it's probably not going to find an answer because we haven't built the right FAQ. It should link to the local aquarium club thing. But what just happened is that gets logged, and we'll go, oh yeah, we should build that page. And so if you don't find it, it'll tell you like, hey, email us, we'll get you the right thing. And then we know, let's go ahead and fix that FAQ. When we get this a little more robust, we'll then have it more on the main page, if you will. Now, if we go to, we also have track orders. You can put in your order number, your email, or show you where in the tracking your order is. So that's new as well. Not super new. What else do we have that's new? What's the new? I know we've done like a million things, but oh, the webcam page. That's new as well. So if you go down to here to meet Murphy, yeah. So you've got a new live Murphy feed, and it also shows some of the Murphy merch and stuff. So yeah, last but not least, I want to show you guys our forum. We're having a lot of good times over here. We've got 952 topics, 7,000 posts, and we've got different build threads like my new studio that I'm building. What'd you get done today? There's lots of pictures. You can kind of come in here and be like, well, what's the new space gonna look like? Like, this isn't my stuff. This is before we bought the place and inspections happening and that kind of stuff, right? But all of that, you could be apprised if you go to our forum. It's free, You just got to be a nice person and be a part of it. And, yeah. Let's get back to the stream, shall we? Oh, yeah, by the way, buy all of our stuff. It helps when you buy all our stuff. That always helps. Got to find the right page. Where to go? Here we go. I'm back. Why doesn't Aquarium Co-Op sell floating plants? Mostly because floating plants don't do well in the mail. It's not that no one has ever shipped any. It's that at scale, when we got to ship to, let's say, 800 people a week of floating plants, maybe 15% of them won't have a good experience. And that's higher than the threshold. I put my threshold at 5%. If more than 5% of a transaction is not going well, we stop it until we can figure out how can we do this better, because we want you to have a positive experience with us. And anything more than 5%, that's above that threshold that I'm comfortable with. Sliggins, I like the name. Great show from Coventry, England. I've got a new 15-gallon long. Could I keep shell dwellers cichlid in this? Oh, you definitely could. And it would be a great tank, too. In fact, little birdie told me, Extreme says, we want to take you out to the UK and visit some shops and help us promote Extreme and meet all the fans. And I said, once this COVID business is done with, let's do that. Also, they said Australia. So I'm a-trying. Maybe we can get Extreme to bankroll a couple of trips for us. Maybe I can even bamboozle and get, a Steenfod or a Zenzo or someone else out there with me to visit the stores and talk up Extreme, which I'll do that anyway. I like the Extreme food, If I get a free trip out of it and get to film some stuff, that's even better for all of us. Why do I want to buy your Corellia Nano circulation pump over some of the other pumps out there? The only thing I can really give you that's actually tangible, look at the amount of watts consumed, right? So a lot of like the Aquatop ones, some of the other ones, you're like, dang, those things are like power hungry. 2, look at the suction cup device. Now, if you want to go Captain Insano, go buy yourself a Tunzi magnetic circulation pump, and it'll be like, oh man, that's $400, right? Or you go like, okay, well, what's a normal person like Dan and Fran? What should they be buying? A Corellia Nano circulation pump. It's got the suction cup technology with a suction cup on the out. Well, I have to make sure that one's got a suction cup on the outside, but the suction cup works really well. Never lets go. And yeah, it's at like that $40 price point. Let me look that up. I got to make sure now. $44.99. And like, I just know it works. So I've tried a lot of other brands over the years. Sometimes when the power goes out and they start back up, the impeller will start backwards. Sometimes you get it where they're really a magnet for collecting mosses and algae and fish and stuff like that. But the honest answer is only you can know what makes sense. Sometimes, well, I can get one on eBay for $12. Like, that might be totally the thing you should do. I'm a guy that like, no, I want to buy it once, install it once, have it work forever. That's where I lean towards a $45 one. And do know that every product that we sell on our website is curated by me. So I've tried a lot of other ones, and I'm just like, that thing snaps. That like some of the plastics, they get brittle after about 6 months underwater. Like, that's not going to work. So you run into these things, and then I just go, this is the best one. It doesn't mean there won't be a better one in a year. Like, there can always be someone who makes the latest and greatest thing. But that's the best one I got available to you now. All right. Where'd my screen go? Joshua Lovett joining the team. Welcome. Setting up another 29-gallon tank from George Hall. Any suggestions on stem plants? In my 29-gallon, I'm rocking some octopus plant. Pogo stem and stellatus octopus. I like it. I love it. I highly recommend it. And it's a stem plant. I feel like that blinked for like no reason behind me. Uh-oh. Reed says, great to have you back, Jimmy. I agree. Jimmy and I are doing some stuff tomorrow. Maybe in some filmings. Extreme Foods from Fish Room Fever. Thank you, my man. Check out his channel if you didn't know he had a channel. What are my thoughts on the bug bites food? I like them. I really like not the turtle, the pleco sticks. I like the bug bites, the community. Now, let me preface this. Most people will be like, yeah, I get the bug bites community for my small fish. Like, no, I like it for like medium fish because it's a hard food. So I want to be able to like take it in and like kind of swallow it. But I like it in a varied thing. Like the black soldier fly larva is a good thing to have. So I like it. I wish Flu Ball didn't make it so hard for me to keep it in stock. But hey, you know, when you look at the price of the food, which is pretty reasonable in my opinion, and how the fish take to it, it's a winner. Malini Victor joining up, thank you very much. And Outcast, welcome, becoming a new member. All right, membership drive, I like it. Ooh, can we get a like spike, says Roxanne, Foxy's Fishes? Say that 37 times fast. Like spike. Yes, thank you. Show the internet that thumbs up. Any recommendations for African dwarf frog food? Mine aren't going for their frog pellets. Get them some frozen bloodworms. That's their number one, like, fatten them up, good food. When breeding for profit, can you breed guppies and cherry shrimp and grow Java moss all in a 10-gallon? I feel like this is like the long troll here. I mean, I'm going to take it serious, but I literally have an entire series developed to breeding fish for profit where I talk about breeding guppies, shrimp, and moss in the same tank. Now, in my example, it's in a 20, but yes, it can be done in a 10 as well. It obviously just limits the sheer numbers you can do, but definitely works and should be a winning combo for you. All right. Love to meet the team section on your website. Would you mind me using it on the store I work at in the UK on their Facebook page for our staff? What does that mean? I'm trying to process. Love to meet the team section on your website. Would you mind me using it on the store I work at in the UK? I mean, if you mean the concept of like meeting the team, by all means, go ahead. Like, I didn't invent the whole meet the team thing, so please do. If you're meaning like our actual profile or something, yes, you can't do that. You can't be like, oh, well, Jimmy works here. Like that's, but I think you mean more of like the concept, in which case, no, I think it's a good idea to, you know, when people are researching about your company, like, who is this person? What do they stand for? What do they like? What do they do? What does their aquarium look like? How much will Wonder Shell raise the pH by? None. It doesn't move the pH, moves hardness. Why do corridors dive bomb the water surface sometimes? They can go up and they fill their air bladder. When they're babies, they actually have to do that the first time. And, oh, did we break the members light? But no, they just go and they grab that air. So it's why you typically ship corridoras in bags with air and not breather bags. So yeah, it's just a normal behavior they do, and I think it's part of the way they do it out in the wild. Ooh, there that light's blinking because of Garrett Stewart and NC Aquatics. Thank you very much. How to start a purple shrimp colony? That I don't know. Is your USB air pump powerful enough to power a medium-sized sponge filter on a 10-gallon? Yes. In fact, in one of my 75 gallons, we run it, and it used to be, not right now, but it used to be for a very long time, all of the air going in the 800 gallon was by those USB air pumps. So, definitely. Laura, we are live! You're on the bus to work? Woo, in Australia? Well, it's nice to meet you, Laura. let's see. Any new tips for a grow out tank for Corridoras? This would be one where a microworm culture would be very beneficial because they eat off the ground. So microworms can do really well. Live baby brine shrimp does really well. And some rapashi foods if you can get them out there. When am I moving? We don't know yet. We've got so many. Here's what I'll tell you. If you ever have the chance, never try and move your home, your work studio, and build an extra warehouse at the new home for your warehouse at the same time. Every day I'm just meeting with tons of contractors. So, yeah, what's the actual... I think we know this week when we'll be able to move in. Like, in theory, we have our furnace being replaced. And then... and then we need, like, some painting done, I think. So I'm hoping, like, in a week or a month or so, we can, like, really start moving. We don't want to move stuff in and be like, all right, now cover all that up and paint that room. There's not too many rooms to paint or anything like that. But, you know, definitely we bought a house that needs some repairs, needs a new roof. Like, things need to happen. Like, it wasn't just, like, walk in, like, everything's done, right? So there's definitely some work to be done. I just want to read this one because it's, like, flattery. Have you been working out? Your shoulders look jacked. Yes, actually, I have been working out, and I've been doing a lot of shoulder work, actually. A lot of, like, so when I work with my trainer, I tell him I want to be farmer strong, and that's, like, all practical strength. Like, I don't need to be able to bench press 300 pounds because I don't do that in my life. But what do? I told him, well, from time to time, like I had to do it last week, I have to move 100-pound sandbags that I want to use in my aquariums and stuff. And those are really heavy, and you got to move them into the store and that kind of stuff, right? And so, you know, like yesterday, I did walking lunges with 30-pound weight on one shoulder. You're holding it while you walk down and back. Then you flip down and back. And just stuff like that, like real practical. And we were doing farmer carries where those 45-pound plates, you got to hold them by like your fingertips so you get hand strength strong. All that kind of stuff, because that's what will translate to me working better in Peru and that kind of stuff. So we try to do all of this uneven ground training and just in general applicable stuff. And not like almost never do I get on a machine or anything like that. It's mostly endurance, like with ropes and free weights and doing stuff that, like we did, you know, I did a lot of planking yesterday, where you don't really plank in your real life, you know, like I don't like, oh man, I better hold myself. But there are definitely times when you got to like kind of plank and hold yourself and move a leg across to a log and then like move your gear while holding yourself. And so preparing for all of that. And so, yeah, I mean, it's a lot of work, and I do longer sessions because it's hard for me to find the free time. So I do 2 sessions in a row. So I work out, in my opinion, pretty intense. You know, it's about as hard as I can go for about an hour and a half. And some days I don't get to finish, like it's too hard, and other days you feel real good. But yeah, I've been working at it, I won't say super hard, but hard enough where I still go every week a couple times and we hit it. Do I have any tips for keeping hatcherfish? Close tight lid and floating foods. That's what I would recommend. Am I nervous about the move? I'm not nervous per se, but it's definitely stressful and trying to get content. Like right now, we don't have any video for this Sunday. We got to make a video, and they're going to make a video for next week, and we got to do all this stuff. Meanwhile, it doesn't make sense. Like, I was all ready to put like Ladybird in here and do a bunch of videos with this, and now it's like completely on hold until, so we need the new heating system in the new fish room put in, which is different from the house system. We got to put the flooring in, and we got to do some painting and some demo work, and then the 800 gallon can move, and that's its own nightmare. Then I could start putting some videos together like, hey, now we're putting Ladybird in, we're putting fish in, we're doing this kind of stuff. So I'm mostly nervous of like, how do I fit meaningful videos in that aren't just like, ugh, this is garbage, while not being able to film kind of in my own fish room and do anything that's like meaningful there. So we'll see. All right. We got some new stuff coming through. Let's see here. Do you know much about the Native American fish markets in China? Is it worth starting? For example, a bowfin farm to sell the Chinese market. I don't know about bowfins, but I do think, I know in Europe and everything, well, okay. In general, selling fish in China is probably not the most lucrative, but breeding fish in China and then selling them to another country is pretty lucrative. So maybe doing things like rainbow shiners, which is a Native American fish, would sell really well in Europe. Might also sell really well in China. I don't know. But bowfins, they're gorgeous fish, but I think Chanas just do better, or not better, but they're just more appealing if you're into that fish. I'm moving soon. What's the best way to transport my plants and my fish? We're only about 5 miles away. If your tank is like 40 gallons or under, draining the water level really low, covering the top of saran wrap, loading it into the back of a van, or a really level car seat with a piece of wood on it, and driving it there and then setting it back up is my way. Otherwise, lots of different buckets, USB air pumps, and not putting too much into one bucket is what I recommend. And that way you can take a little more precaution there. Howitzer 44, welcome to the team. All right. Do I have a P.O. box? No P.O. box. If you wanted to send us something, you could send it to our retail store, which is our address on the website. Can you mix Cyprichromis and Paracyprichromis without them hybridizing? As far as I know, yes. I don't think I've ever seen them hybridize. In fact, if they did, that'd be pretty cool. Like if you could get the Cyprichromis with all that, the Paracyp neon color to them, that'd be pretty cool. Do I know of any aquarium appropriate cold water varieties of fish that I can catch wild in Canada? I don't know. I know there's a few like hot springs and stuff, but I'm not 100% sure on that, honestly. I'm not well versed in the Canadian fish. Oh man, moving with a bunch of tanks, staying close, less than 30 minutes away, but never moved with fish tanks before. Any of them that are under 40 gallons? Do the previous method. Any that are over? Lots of buckets. I think I did this, I covered this in the last live stream, so I'm only going to go over it briefly here. And I think it was quite a long time, like 10 minutes worth in the last live stream. So you can go back and watch that. But in general, try to move like one tank at a time. Or like if it's two 20-gallon tanks, you've already got the stand set up, move it that way, that type of thing. Compartmentalize it. Don't try to move it and a bunch of stuff all at the same time. Slow and steady wins that race. What alterations can you make to a canister to reduce flow? You could put a gate valve on it, but if you gate, let me think. I think you want to gate the intake so it doesn't put back pressure on the pump. But you also don't want to throttle it down way too much. But most pumps have a way to throttle them a little bit. I'm trying to think if I can think of another way to throttle it that won't cause leaking or damage. Sometimes you can, like in the Flue Wall series, sometimes you can put a smaller impeller. So if you had a 407, you might be able to put like a 207 impeller in there, and that will slow the flow down as well. But I'd have to test it again, because I'm not sure that works for the 407s versus like, oh, it was the 304s that worked on. All right. Any tips for moving up in a fish store, or what helped you decide Robert was good manager role for my store? Well, I brought Robert on as kind of a manager in training because he had managed like a Little Caesars, and he had done some other stuff in his careers before Aquarium Co-op. As far as moving up goes, like one of the biggest things is conveying appropriately to the people above you. You're looking to move up into management. And then also being indispensable. Someone called out, I'm coming in. Things are going wrong, I'm going to stay late. Like just always being there so that like the buck stops with you. You know, you walked in and someone pooped all over the floor at the store, you're cleaning it up. You're not waiting for someone else to do it. Like you're just always handling the worst situations and making sure that management knows you want to move up. And they might think, oh, you're not ready, and maybe you're not ready. I don't know, right? But over time, there usually is an opportunity where they need some management, and they've got to choose someone. And if you don't get chosen, might mean you're not ready. It's hard. We all think we're ready to do everything, right? But outside looking in, sometimes you're not. Could also just mean that they don't know what they have. That happens sometimes too. But mostly going 110%. Most people, they go 110% for about 6 minutes. And then when they don't get the instant gratification, they just go back to being a normal person. And then you don't stand out in the crowd anymore. A lot of times it'll be 6 months, 2 years, 3 years of like just continually outperforming and putting in 110% and doing everything. And it's really being a great asset before you get bumped up in that role. And it's a lot of times because a pet store is a mom and pop shop. A lot of times they don't have a bunch of like, we're looking to bring in new managers every year. We're looking to, you're waiting. Usually it's something bad's got to happen. Like, oh my gosh, we got to free up time. We can't let that happen again. We need to promote Lloyd. Lloyd's been great. Please talk about the ponds you don't maintain and does amazing. So if we're talking about like all the ponds in my fish room, they're about, I think, 120 gallons. I got to redo the math. I don't do any water changes on them. I just feed them. And I have live plants with good lighting on them. And really, I'm utilizing nature. And so that's what nature does. It balances fish going poop with plants eating waste. And then I have to cull plants out of there. But as far as like calcium and stuff, like I've got crushed coral in there. And at the very beginning, I put a little bit of fertilizer in it because there wasn't enough organic poop. But now I don't even fertilize. So everything's going to change when I go to the new house because that hard water, hopefully I won't have to use crushed coral. That's one less thing. And it's got a little bit of nitrates in the water, I think. So might not even have to use fertilizer at all. Now, I do top the water off. So it'll evaporate down a few inches every month. Got to fill it back up. But the plants are exporting the nutrients for me, and I'm putting in the fish food, so I'm controlling everything that's coming in and going out. It's actually a very easy system once you have managed it for a while. It seems like it's too easy, or why doesn't everyone do that? And that's kind of the answer. Is like, I know, why doesn't everyone do that? All right. Where's the rummy nose? The rummy nose tetras are in the tanks in the studio still. Doesn't make any sense to put 1,000 things I got to catch back out of the 800 gallon and move them. So they sit in the 125s, just fattening up. And we're actually selling some of them off because we've been having a hard time getting rummy nose. So we send them to the store. So I've got one tank that's filled, one tank that's almost empty. But the one that's filled, there's some fat and happy rummy nose, let me tell you. All right, we got a couple more super chats. Enjoy Nano Chromis Splendens daily. It was a good fish. All right, Thomas Giblin. I'm from Australia and just waking up, watching the stream, doing the water changes. Love the stream. Any advice on plants that might not get ate with a black moor? I would focus on Anubias, crinums, moss balls. They can kick around a bunch. Bulbitis, African ferns, Java ferns as well. Maybe some bucephalandras. That's pretty much Vallisneria, if you can get a good start to it and not let them dig them up. There's more too, I just can't think of them. So, by the way, if you're spending $5, become a member. I've got 2 dwarf South American cichlids that bred in a community tank that's heavily planted. Is it worth it to get baby brine shrimp for just the one tank? I think so. It's seriously a miracle food. Once our brine shrimp eggs land, which they're supposed to land the next few weeks, you guys will see more videos on us utilizing it. All I can tell you is it really is magical. It is work. It's like people telling you, like, if you eat right and you exercise really well, you just feel better in life. And we all know it's true. But that takes work and dedication, and sometimes we're just going to be too lazy. And brine shrimp's the same way. Like, we know brine shrimp is amazing, and fish do way better on it, and babies grow up, and it's got all these benefits, but it's work. So we don't do it all the time, but in a perfect world, if you're Dean, you do hatch it out every single day. Haven't missed a day in 400 years. Some people are real dedicated. Some people, I'm on again, off again, on again, off again. Depends on how busy I am. $5 isn't a lot, but thank you for the replies. Much appreciated. No problem, Lloyd. Good luck with the promotion at work. And he is a member, by the way, so good on you. What is a good plant for fast-flowing water? Vallisneria I like quite a bit. Anubiuses can hold up to some fast water as well. I mean, a lot of them really. Just Crinum's pretty good also. I'm getting 2 croaking gouramis this week for a 10-gallon. I currently have 2 autos in it. Can I add chili rasboras without overcrowding it? Probably. I wouldn't worry about that at all, Frederick. That seems A-okay to me. Assuming you're getting like 6 to 10 rasboras and not like 110. What's highlight to carpet Monte Carlo in a 5-gallon? Asks Matthew Vargas. All right, Matthew. In a 5-gallon, I would buy one of the Phoenix lights. I would buy the 16-inch. That'll put you on highlight for sure. Because those tanks are only like this tall. Boom. I mean, no problem getting highlight out of that. Matrix, welcome to the team, my friend. Oh, Helical Codex was trying to make a funny, and then he got banned, or he should be banned. Do fish have penises? Yes, it's called a gonopodium. Ah, you're trying to look funny and then scienced. You got scienced. Any stem plants that don't need to go into the substrate? No. Or, I mean, actually, all stem plants don't have to go in the substrate. They can float. And they just grow their roots downward like that. Because in the wild, a lot of times they break off and they have that mode. So it's actually a really cool look. It's kind of like when you see philodendron or pothos, how it like the roots grow out of it like that. Stem plants, that's kind of what they do. So you don't have to. You can just let them just marinate in there. All right. Can I put 8 emerald dwarf rasboras and 2 clown killies in a 10-gallon? Yes. Easily. What would you feed a monoshrimp in case they run out of natural algae? They do really well on protein, so any leftover fish food. I wouldn't worry about them. Those guys, they're easy peasy. The biggest fish I would keep in a 50-gallon aquarium, me personally, probably about 8 inches. Because that still gives it, 4 inches to turn around. It's not just like nose to tail on the glass. Not that I haven't done bigger at some points, but that's not a permanent scenario. That's really where I'd be like, yeah, it's getting to be a big boy in there. Why the ZISS breeder box over others? It's just a premium product. That's really where it comes down to. I mean, I don't like playing the game of like, why this over that? It's like, it's a long sales pitch, and it's just going to seem like, man, you're trying pretty hard to make me buy that thing. It's like, no, I don't care if you buy it at all, actually. Like, I've examined pretty much every breeder box that's ever been on the market, including custom acrylic ones that I had built 10 years ago. I've used them. I've bred fish in them. And, what are some of the benefits? It's got the crazy good ZISS suction cups. I'm missing the piece because it's not sitting here right now, but you also get to run air, and it runs air through. It's got 3 sides in which water can pass through, right? It's rugged plastic, and it's not going to snap, right? It can take a beating. That's why. Like, it's expensive, but you also don't want to put, like, let's say I was hatching out some frontoses in here, and I've got 56 eggs, and when I grow up each one of them, they're going to retail at the store for $20, right? That's $1,000 worth of fish. And if I put it in our cheaper net, right? And a big frontosa comes up and crunches the eggs off the bottom, I just lost a bunch of money. This one has a guard built in. Now, you going to have that problem with guppies? Nope. Won't matter. You can do it with anything. You can do it with a bowl. Doesn't matter. right? But if you're looking for a premium thing, that's where you start paying premium price and going, I see why I need something like this. I get it. Now, you might only be breeding fish like they only sell for like $1. Doesn't matter. You're right, it doesn't matter. Or you might go, well, I just want the best contraption available. Like, this is the best contraption. Do you need the best contraption? No. A lot of times, like guppies, you just use plants. But that's why this thing exists. That's why we have a cheaper one too, because not everyone needs a super expensive one. Maybe you have to have the suction cups, and maybe you want to adjust it just right for your tank. You know, that's what this little thingy does. All right, did I break it? Oh, I'm hitting the wrong thing, that's why. I was hitting the wrong piece. Oh, now I've done it. If you ever want to look stupid, try and do something while on camera. There we go, live. But yeah, I mean, this thing's, it's awesome. It's too expensive though. And I'm not afraid to say stuff I sell is too expensive, because the problem is USPS is $1 million a ship. We got to bring this in from, is it Vietnam or Korea? I think Korea. Bring it from Korea, and then I got to put it into a box, and this thing doesn't, like, this is bigger than a sponge filter. Like, a sponge filter fits inside this thing. So I got to ship this big old bulky box to your house and make sure it doesn't get, you know, USPA elbow slammed on the way there. So that's why this stuff ends up costing money. But it is a good product. It doesn't mean everyone needs it, though. That's right, trademark me on that. The USPS elbow slam. All right. Laura joining the team. Thank you very much, Laura. Is Fluval stratum too rough for coolie loaches? No way, Jose. It is very soft. We do you just fine with them coolie loaches. No problem at all. Do I think it's possible to keep a few white cloud minnows with no heater in a 2.2 gallon tank? I do, Alberto. You know, you want to make sure you don't evaporate too much water, get a little bit of live plants going on in there, and keep an eye on it, but definitely can be done. Doesn't mean it's easy, but it can be done. Don't forget to hit that like button, says One Dirty Platty. That is a good name. I like that. Ah. So often I wish that I wasn't the creator, because I would just troll people with my name. One Dirty Platty is amazing. That might be that's got to be my favorite name of the month for sure. That's so weird. Thomas Giblin. I swear. I just got to look. I swear that was the name of the person that I worked with. Hold on. It's not. It's very close though. I can't remember the name of Oliver Knott's old manager, but I swear it was Thomas Giblin. Something very close to that if it's not. What would I breed in a 120? I would breed Jurapari earth-eating cichlids is what I would do. Ooh, my wife's got a new project I could talk about. She's got a plumeria we brought back from Hawaii a couple years ago. You know, you get that, like, I don't know, little start or whatever, and it's been doing amazing in water. Then we tried to transition it to dirt. Damn near died off. So now it's back in water. But it's getting bigger and bigger, and it's outgrowing the, like, glass it's in. So we're thinking about putting it in an aquarium, and then she's like, what if we did this big plumeria growing up out of the aquarium and a bunch of cherry shrimp? And I said, that sounds sweet to me, so we might try that in the new house. Anytime Dorkula is willing to do something, I'm into it. Like, all right. Because that seems low maintenance for me, too. You get Ken Burns to produce the Coop documentary. Indeed. In the Coop documentary, I want Troy McClure. 2 Fonka puppers in a 270-gallon tank. Could work, but sounds rough. Sounds like a death tornado. I see a couple of comments by Carolyn MC. I just don't see your question. It's and I say this every time. It's really hard with how many people we have. Almost 1,700 people chatting away. Like, I never willingly ignore someone. I just take them as I see them. Like, oh, there's a comment. That looks interesting. Let me comment on that. Let me talk about that. Let me keep the show rolling. And I genuinely do feel bad when someone doesn't get their question answered. Whether you're a member or not, I genuinely do feel bad. Leave comments. I try to answer some of those. Not that I answer them all. I don't want to say I'm doing that. But one of the best ways is asking a question on the forum. You get a lot of people that are willing to help you. You know, be nice, respectful, try and help others, all of that. We try to get there. I mean, I basically, you know, do 2 hours of how many questions can I answer in 2 hours? Let's do it. That's what I try. Patricia became a new member. Thank you very much. Ooh, I want to try for a thing. So we've got 41 new members, which is amazing. Thank you very much. I wonder if we can get to 50 in this live stream. That would be amazing. So let's try it. So we need 9 more. We're starting the membership drive up. If we get 9 more, you'll hear me play a song on my bamboo calculator that I bought for $9 that isn't on. There we go. By the way, don't buy this bamboo calculator. The equals button is right here. It's not good. Like, it's just, it's like the wackiest. That's what you get when you buy a calculator that's like novelty factor 9,000. All right. Yes, many questions are covered by co-op videos. There's over 1,000 videos. I've answered a question or two. What's a showpiece fish to put with some coolie loaches, some shrimp, and some chili rasboras in a 40-gallon plant tank, or a top-level fish? Does anyone know what that's from? I think that's what was the horse guy from Ren and Stimpy, where you go, I can't remember his name. He did the flying butt pliers, though, I think. I can't remember the horse's name, though. What's a showpiece fish? I'm trying to think. It's got to be shrimp, too. The shrimp has a little bit of a wrinkle in it. Big fish, small mouth. Big fish, small mouth. What's got tiny mouths? The one I would try... okay, here's what I would go with. I would go with, I think it's a Gymnogeophagus, but Gymnogeophagus cupido, or Biotodoma cupido. Hold on, I gotta Google it. Yeah, it's Biotodoma cupido. I would try those, which I realize you're like, what is that? It was classified as a Gymnogeophagus for a while, which basically, strip away all the science, it's a smaller version of an earth eater. I don't find them to be that aggressive. I think they might leave the shrimp alone. I think they'll leave everything else alone. The shrimp is the only unknown for me. They look pretty cool when they color up. They're not going to be super easy to find, but that's a fish I'd be going after on that. Nick Stroud, welcome to the team, my friend. Ooh, and Della Miller. How long will bacteria live in a canister filter with the power being out? Mine was out for 4 hours. Are my bacteria dead? I would expect that some died off, but part of the problem of the equation is how much waste was in there, how much oxygen was already in your water. This is one of the reasons I really say keep your water well oxygenated, so it's at high volumes of oxygen before it loses power. Also depends on how much biomedia is in that canister. A lot of people are like, yeah, max it out, get as much as you can. I got 42 pounds of bio home in my canister filter. It's so filled, there's no water left in it. It's also no oxygen left in it, right? So, you know, some sponges and some other stuff, like a normal use, you know, it could be as short as 45 minutes or as long as several hours to even a day or so. The good news is there's going to be a lot of bacteria left on everything else in the aquarium, and it'll reseed very quickly. So most people don't notice a disruption unless there's truly catastrophic things that happen, or you were at a point where your oxygen level was already crazy low and stuff just died off, and then there was ammonia, and then that killed off more, and then it pumped into the tank, and then that killed off the bacteria. But I know from talking to you earlier in the chat, you had some USB air pumps and some other stuff going on. You're probably okay, honestly. All right, where'd my chat go? I'm in Biotodoma Cupido land. Leo, brush it off. Painter? Yeah, painter. Favorite type of fish you ate in Peru? It was the tiger shovel nose was really good, and then also Arapima was really good. The favorite thing might have been, what was it, crocodile tail? That was it was like the best chicken nugget type of thing I'd ever eaten. So that thing was really good. Brandon Acompo, welcome. Puts it at 48. 48. Common Plecostomus can live pretty much with any fish. True statement. Your thoughts on a community tank: 75 gallons, 1 betta, 3 bristlenose, 2 dwarf gouramis, 50 harlequin reservoirs, and 100 cherry shrimp. Let me process that. 2 dwarf honey gouramis, 3. The only thing I really have a problem with there is the 3 bristlenose. That seems like a lot. You long term, probably like 14 months into it, you're gonna be like, why did my bristlenose die? And it probably got stabbed to death on the side from its bristles. But otherwise, I'm not afraid of that tank. Looks all right. Are pink crypts coming back in stock online? We'd have to ask Randy. No, truth be told, we ask every week. The response we get is, COVID has hurt us. We're trying to gear back up. We want to get you pink crypts. And then we go, yeah, we want them all. And we said, we want at least 100 a week. And they go, whoa, whoa, whoa. We'll do what we can. So that's the best we get. It's like, it's kind of me doing, the fry, like, take my money. And they're like, yeah, we get it. You want to give us your money, but we got to grow them. So that's where we're at. How to sell surplus fish to wholesalers in Texas. Got 400 angels, 100 swordtails, and 100 tetras. So the 100 tetras is probably like a real small amount. It's going to be a pretty rough sell. That probably needs to go to a store. 100 swordtails also might need to go to a store because 100's not many. Like when I order swordtails, a lot of times I order 300 at a time. So if I was a wholesaler, I'd be ordering like 3,000 at a time. 400 angels, if they're decent size and they're good quality, you should be able to talk the talk with them on that and go, hey, I got 400 locally grown angels. They're blacks, they're silvers, and I've got some kois. And they're all 25-cent piece, ready to go. Here's a sample. Boom. Now, that being said, they might not want to deal with you, whatever. You could probably unload those at the stores. But try to talk the talk a little bit and say, look, I want to sell all of these to you so I don't go and undersell you at the stores. I'd much rather have one stop. I make one trip in a month. I give you all my fish. You buy them all. Then you sell them to your stores as locally bred, and they're going to do really well, and we both win. Otherwise, I got to go to all your stores, and I'm going to push them and sell them, and you might be selling a swordtail for $1.10. I'll sell it for $1, blah, blah, blah. Now you're losing it, and meanwhile, you were going to get $1 from the store, maybe only get 50 cents from them, but you only got to make one stop, and the goal is get that door open. Then be like, joke's on you, I got 5,000 angels now, right? And you can keep ramping up because one store can only move so many fish. 5 stores can only move so many fish, but a wholesaler, they can usually take almost about anything. And that's what lets you scale your hobby up. All right. I bought an AP100 Aquatop air pump a while back from Aquarium Co-Op. How long should a pump like that last? It has recently got very loud. Thank you, little Bobby. I need to do a video on that, but they should run years. Now, they do get louder because of the way a diaphragm air pump works. So usually it's a magnet, and it's going to vibrate, and kind of, when you have a magnet, you put them against their poles, and they push away from each other. It vibrates in, goes, oh, magnetism pushes it away. Pushes it away, pushes it away. And over time, you do that 4 billion times, and it might bend the metal a little bit. And why does it get loud? It starts hitting the case just a little bit. So that plastic case, knock, 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 knock. That's where you get that rattling sound, right? So, not that you should do this, because I would never advocate doing this. Don't do this under the advice of Corey. But the way that Corey fixes them is he unplugs them, he takes the 4 screws out of them, he pulls the top off, and he goes, look at this, I can bend that piece of metal back the other way just a little bit, and it doesn't hit the case anymore. A lot of times you'll know this is the case if you can take the adjustment valve and turn it way down and it gets quieter, and when you turn it up, that's making it vibrate faster. Now it gets louder, it's hitting the case. So if you can turn it down, it gets quieter, you know, probably a little adjustment would fix that. Now, technically, diaphragm air pumps should only ever break when the diaphragms break. They're a piece of, so you got this piece of metal with a magnet moving back and forth, right? Well, as you're doing that, it's actually creating pressure on a rubber diaphragm, and it compresses, and it's basically going really fast, so like, right? And that's creating air to move. Now, eventually, at some point, that rubber will get a rip in it, and that's where you can buy diaphragm repair kits and everything. Those existed 70s, 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. They don't exist anymore because air pumps have gotten so cheap that you just buy another air pump instead of buying the repair kit. But that's the best I can give you through the power of the live stream. All right. Bethany Nevitt, welcome to the team. Nataku Dragon and Josh Colvin. I think that makes us hit the record. Well, I don't know if it's a record, but it's a good time. 51! Woo! That's right. Many of you don't know I actually play the calculator professionally in 2 to 3 bands. Depends on the night, you know. All right, where are we at here? How much and how often for salt? I only use salt when I'm treating illnesses. I typically use somewhere between 1 to 2 tablespoons per gallon of water, and I like to let it sit for many weeks at a time to cure up illnesses. So it's a long treatment. I have a 40-year-old Rena 301 air pump. Whoa, that still works perfectly. No service done. That gets into my whole rant of like products made in like 50s, 60s, 70s. They were built to run forever. They also cost like disproportionately more money back then. You know, it used to be like, oh, I gotta buy an air pump. It's like $40 or $30 or whatever, right? Now it's like, I gotta buy an air pump. It's $12. Like, wait, everything else in the world went up and yet air pumps got cheaper? Wages got more expensive? Like, yeah, we don't get a pump to last forever anymore. Oh man, my wife's burning me good. By band, he means each dog. Yep, once Sassy gets sick of him, I replace it for Wincy and Tinky. That's a good burn. Where are my brine shrimp eggs? You're telling me, Bryce. Depending on customs and all of that, we're under 2 weeks. I don't want to tell you like, oh, it's 7 days, because I don't have the exact timeline. Last time a cargo container came in, sat outside the port for like a week because they were just backed up at the port. Ooh, Jake 2.0 is becoming a member next time it gets paid. Well, thank you, brother. As long as it's not a burden on you. I never want you guys like bring a burden on you or your family to become a member. It ain't that special. Don't get me wrong, we put out some videos and stuff, but it's not, you know, it's not a make or break it. It's just a fun thing to be a part of. And yeah, I got something I'm doing specifically with the member money. I forgot what it is. I got something in the works. I can't remember what it is right now. Oh, I think it was the care packages and all that we're sending out. Like, I'm using that to help fund, because it's going to be real expensive if we ship a lot of packages worldwide. But I'm trying to do that to like kind of put it back out into the ether of goodness, you know. Michael became a member. Thank you very much, man. Where are the runnynose for the big tank? Andy answered that earlier, still in the fish room. Do oyster shells harden water? They do, Grant. They're not as easily dissolvable, but one thing back when I was a new aquarist, I would go and buy chicken grit, which is ground up oyster shells, at least here in the Northwest, because we got a lot of fish and oysters. But I hear in some places it's actually dolomite that's ground up, but at least here, for like $6, you get a bag of oyster shell that, on principle, you're like, oh my gosh, that's the best deal going. In practice, you've never seen something so dirty. Like, I feel like all the mud from the sea when they're collecting those oyster shells and shucking them or whatever they're doing goes right into that grinder when they grind that, and then you got all this dirt. So you gotta, like, anything you've ever watched for an aquarium before, you're like, man, that was a lot of rinsing. Times it by 10, and that's what the chicken grit is. But you get a whole sack of it for $6. When do you think we'll be seeing Ladybird in the big tank? At least a month away, but trust me, I'm jonesing to see it too. I really got myself psyched up to see it, and then we bought a house, and that threw everything into whoa mode. I want some red teacup wag platies, but I can't seem to find them anywhere. Is it COVID, or are they rare fish to find? So they're generally fairly rare to begin with, and COVID's not helping that. We, surprisingly, have some in the store. I so badly want to go get some and bring them home. I don't really have a tank for them yet, and it doesn't make sense. Like, I have to keep talking myself out of it. Like, wait, bring fish home so I can move to a new home? That's the worst idea. But I really want some of those red wag ones, because I have just the red ones, and I'd love to have both, because I love those little funky dudes. What do I recommend feeding guppy fry and cherry shrimp for maximum growth? Only stuff we sell. No. Live baby brine shrimp is a miracle drug. After that, frozen foods. And then after that, probably rapashi. Notice all of those take work. And then after that, krill flake food. Like, krill food is going to make the cherry shrimp be super red, which is nice. High protein content, so it'll grow really well. But it's really hard to replace live and frozen foods in comparison. Oh, poor Michael. He had to sell his kidney to get that membership. I got news for you, buddy. If you only got a membership out of your kidneys must not have been that good. So it might have been a good trade for you. I mean, you should have gotten at least 3 or 4 years of membership for a kidney. Come on. You only get 2. My pH is 8.2. Should I add something to lower it or keep it consistent? I'm worried about chasing numbers, causing it to fluctuate when I do water changes. I am a man that does not change my pH unless I have to. So my pH isn't 8.2 out of the well, but if it was, I wouldn't change it. Right now I've got like 6.8. I need the KH. If I didn't need the... Oh, I gotta like hiccup and burp at the same time. Whoa, nearly died. If I didn't have that problem, I wouldn't change it at all. I just use a little bit of crushed coral. Will cherry shrimp breed in 8.1? I've done it myself. Didn't seem hard. I would say so. Is my half beak and puffer project going? Is this directed at me? Currently, I don't have those projects going on. Does Tropica dwarf hairgrass need CO2? Probably. Ooh, Jimmy and Candy and Lizzie, if you're listening. So anyone, we got to get a kidney emoji. That's a good call out, KG Cichlids. Someone's got to remind me, though. And we're going to hit Bob when we go over to stream. Hashtag kidney pie. That's what we're doing. The inside joke is Bob doesn't eat pie. He'll have no idea what the kidney means. I like it. Can I put a biture with Mabuna cichlids in a 55-gallon tank? 18 Mabunas. Yes, you can. I've done it. Works out all right. Can I go on Aquabid and show us some cool fish? We've only got about 9 minutes. Takes a little bit longer for me to set that up, Levi, so maybe next time I could. Just because you blocked a troll or jokester and your hat is cool? $5. All right. Well, I should be cool more often. Ha! Didn't realize I got paid for being cool. You're not cool unless you pee your pants. I saw it in a movie. My son went to your store and bought several plants, and the Anubias came dead. You should reach out to customer service. We'll get you some new ones sent out, Gustavo. Need some pictures and make sure your setup's set up correctly. Like if they got planted if they came dead, then that's a problem with shipping. We can get that taken care of, buddy. Listened in the car on the way home from work and now watching on the PC eating food. It's a good evening. Indeed. Indeed. I wonder what I'm having for dinner tonight. Ooh, I think my wife said like chicken pot pie casserole or something. I threw some cuttlebone in my aquarium, and I had some ghost shrimp start dying. Ooh. I've never heard of that happening. I don't think, like, cuttlebone, I hesitate to say that would contaminate it. I feel like that's one of those, I did a thing, and then something else happened. It must have been that thing when it could have been something we weren't tracking. I don't know. But it seems unlikely that cuttlebone would be the culprit. But hey, you know, it's, could be. Have I ever gotten into killifish? I've gotten a little bit into it. I like the really colorful stuff, and I like the stuff that will stay around for years. I don't like the annuals, like, well, it's not that I don't like them. I don't keep them. Like a lot of the Nothos, or the Nothos bronchius, Achilles, they're super beautiful, but they have a very short lifespan. I like to be able to breed stuff, so I like a lot of the, like striatums, Gardneri, Australes, Annulatus, what's the big ones that I like? Blue Galaris. There's a red Galaris also. I've done all of that. Part of the problem, I think, is you guys have now seen about 5 years of my fish keeping career on YouTube, but I've been keeping fish for about 15. And I was way more hardcore into it in the first 10 than I was in the last 5, just because I had more time to do it then. So I've done a lot of things. I've been through a lot of phases. Doesn't mean phases won't come back, because you see a pretty fish, gotta have it. Pretty fish, need that. But yeah, I definitely, I don't want to spoil it all, but there's going to be more room to have more fish in the new fish room, so could be more species. What should my local fish store be paying for black and dark night rams? I think I'm buying them from Dean for $25 a piece. I think that's what I buy them for. So, I mean, it all depends on where you're at, you know. If you're in a lower wage area, if they're being imported, what quality are they? I just know what I have worked out with Dean. A lot of times, you know, we work on a much bigger relationship of, like, he helps me film, I buy his stuff, I buy other stuff that maybe I do or don't want or whatever. Like, we got a big understanding, and I always tell him, Dean, you charge me what you need for this fish, and then we'll sell it accordingly. I'm not, you know, on the specialty fish like that, I literally tell Dean, I'll pay you whatever you need. I don't need to make a ton of money off this fish because I want them to be in the hobby. We can make up that money on selling the 10,000th runnynose of the month, not of the month, but, like, you know, whatever it is. Like, if we're going to sell 400 neons this week, like, we'll make some money on the neons and that kind of stuff. Like, I want to reward breeders for breeding stuff that's hard to breed, hard to get a hold of, and so I always want to make sure, like, this is enough to make it worth your while, right? Because if it's not worth your while, then it's not a sustainable thing, and I don't want to start selling it and then going, oh, it wasn't sustainable, and you missed out, I'll never make it again. So, yeah. That's right. In about 5 minutes, we're all heading over to the Bob Steenfot of Steenfot Aquatics show, and we're going to bomb his live stream with hashtag kidney pie. But we got a couple more minutes till that happens. How do I keep snails and shrimp from escaping the tank with no lid? Ooh. I don't think there's any 100% way. You could leave the water level down. The more you leave it down, the better chance you got. But then most people are like, that looks ugly. Well, that's where you get. Maple syrup or butter on pancakes? I'm not a big pancake guy, but usually it's butter. Now, if it's waffles, definitely butter. Like, it's weird. On some things, I like the sweet. Like, I love to eat a donut for dessert. In the morning, I'll eat one, but it's like, Same thing, like that sweet food in the morning, I'm like, don't we got biscuits and gravy? Where's the savory foods? I want savory. I want something that's going to fill me up so I can go to work. Whereas those are just like, I don't know, treats. I mean, pancakes, I could literally eat pancakes for dessert or something. I'm treating my quarantine clownlets from ick. You mentioned stress ick on your website as a potential case to react to treatment differently. Can I elaborate? Well, stress ick, usually it's a bigger cyst, and it's sometimes identified by not reacting to ick medicines. Like, so people misdiagnose all the time. They see a spot and they're like, yep, it's ick. It's like, that's not what that means always. And so stress ick typically means you might have too low a pH, too high a hardness, whatever it is. You're causing stress on the fish, and these cysts you know, it's kind of like breaking out in pimples or something like that. Like a lot of stress will give you, you know, this right here. Like, oh man, he's under a lot of stress, not getting enough sleep, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean I have the chicken pox, right? So same thing when it comes to those guys. Of like, clown loaches are notorious for getting ick, so it probably is ick. But stress ick does happen, and usually that's only going to be on like 1 or 2 fish, not the whole group of them. So if you got spots on all of them, and ick spots are always smaller than the cysts typically. But it's really hard to show and teach that without having someone in person and showing the difference between the fish and all of that. And every time I do it on camera, you look at it, you're like, it's the same thing. Like, no, but it's like it's different. Like, I don't know, it's different. Can't take the kidney out for a membership, but can't put the membership in for kidney pie. No truer words have ever been said. Big fat drum. Bacon. Bacon's good. I like my bacon not to be super crispy. I like it to be thick. I like to have fat on it. And, you know, not crispy. I don't like it burnt at all. How many angelfish would I put in a 29? Probably just one or a pair. Extreme food for an auto feeder. I would do the nano pellet. That's what I load in my feeders. Let me see. Nope, I'm a bad host today. I don't have any extreme containers near me, but I do the nano pellet in my feeders, especially for my guppies and all of that. I would love to have some celestial pearl danios, but they're so small, and I was wondering if dwarf rainbows would have them for lunch. No, they should cohabitate well. The thing you're going to run into is maybe the dwarf rainbows are going to get the majority of the food. So you might have to feed really heavy to keep those celestial pearl danios well fed. Multi-tank addiction. Nice to see you, buddy. I've resealed my 300-gallon tank 3 times, and it always seems to leak after a week. Do you have any ideas to make sure it doesn't leak again? Yes, there definitely are some tricks. So, one, strip out the silicone, which you obviously have done. I personally then take sandpaper and sandpaper down all of the places where I'm going to put silicone back in. Now, this does couple things. It's going to rough up the glass, make the silicone get a better bond. 2, it's going to make sure you have absolutely gotten all of the silicone off. Silicone won't bond to silicone. Everyone thinks they get it off, but if there's the tiniest layer that you can't detect, it's not going to stick. And a 300-gallon tank, there's a lot of space. You're only going to miss one little space to get that leak like you are. So I scratch up the glass, and I get, you know, you can tape it off and everything, and get that real fine sandpaper and just sand everywhere you're going to put that silicone. Also know that more silicone is not better. You want a real thin line. So you're going to run that silicone on the joints, and then you're going to take your finger or your tool. Maybe you got a tool if you're doing it right. You got a tool that will do that, and more is not better. Then let it sit for 2 to 3 weeks at least with fans blowing inside it so you don't smell any vinegar smell or anything. Most people are like, 1 week, it's fine. It's not fine. Different temperatures, different humidities, different silicones cure at different rates. If you're ever worried about it, give it way more time. Silicone sets, like when you read the package, it'll be like sets in 24 hours. Then you like read the fine print, like, well, reaches full setting at actually 9 days or whatever it is. Like you have to let all of the solvents actually get out of it. So those are my tips. It could be something else wacky's going on, but that's where I find most people have fallen down when they go to resealing tanks. All right. Is there a number for my store? Definitely not. There's no number for our store, only because it would never stop ringing. Gustavo, if you bought Anubias and they were dead by the time you got home to Lakewood, there's a bigger problem going on. I assumed we had mailed ordered them to you. So we'd have to really see what went on between like a hour drive home. Like Anubia should last in the mail even like a couple weeks. So, all right, we're heading over to the Steenfod Aquatics live stream. I'll be over there, hopefully getting some dinner while I listen to Bob. He's going on for the next 2 hours. Check him out if you haven't. Make sure you give him the old hashtag kidney pie, and we'll see you over there. If you haven't checked out his channel, please do. He's got some videos. We've been collaborating a little more lately. And, yeah, I had a good time today. Hope to see you next Monday. assuming schedule allows, and I have to meet with a contractor. Thank you to all the new memberships. If I didn't get your question, sorry about that. Post on the forum like we showed earlier. And yeah, we'll be talking sometime, I'm sure. Bye-bye.